Hey guys, and welcome to the Bayern View. Hopefully, you guys are all doing well. As you can see, got a new face on the screen. I told you that something cool was coming on the channel, and here it is. I'm delivering with that. We've got. I want to say one of the coolest Inter fans I've seen. I've been watching the content for a while. So we've got Anthony from Inter Worldwide. Welcome on my channel. Let's put it that way. And hopefully you're doing well, man.
Bro, I'm doing well. I'm doing very well on this Saturday morning because I get to be here with you. Thank you for inviting me on your channel. I saw you come up in a very, very similar way, the same way I did. I saw you, if I'm not mistaken, what was it, just before last season started? You sort of started doing this for your channel, was it? Yeah. And I saw you go down the same route that I did, slowly building your channel with the authentic personality that you have. So big ups to yourself, creating this English-speaking community for a non-English-speaking club, although we all know Germans just might be the most efficient people on the planet when it comes to switching languages and whatnot. But big ups to you, man. I love the trim. I love what you do. And yeah, I'm looking forward to the new season coming up, man, because even though Inter's always got their problems, their flaws, their heartbreaks, I love doing content and I love linking up with fellow content creators, man. I'm here in Sydney, Australia, and you're 26,000 kilometers away. Yeah, here we are.
Yeah, for real. That is quite cool when you think of it like that, isn't it? You know, you are literally on the other side of the planet.
Yeah. I come from the future, as some people like to say on channel.
I think we may as well start with a player that your club is trying to sign from Bayern in Jan Sommer. Obviously, Onana has left to go to Manchester United. Was that a hard one to take, or?
Hard one to take, but one of those slow release poisons where you just know it's going to happen. We've been going through this for 3 years now, almost 3 years. After the departure of Antonio Conte and all of his backroom staff as well, we knew that this was going to go on for a few years' time. This was not going to be something that stopped after one season. So you lose Hakimi and you lose Lukaku in the first season. And what I've liked to call it for our fans is damage control. We are unlucky in a sense that we are owned by the Chinese and they have restrictions on external projects. That's our biggest limitation. If there was no ban from Chinese exportation, the Zhang and the Suning Corporation would just continue to give us copious amounts of money, even if it wasn't real money, because we know what we're working with in the world these days in terms of capital and debt. It's not real money. As long as you can show on your books that you're making X amount, you can sort of do whatever you want. But with China, we can't do anything. All we can do is float above water. In an ideal situation, Suning and Steven Zhang would have sold. But there is also a small portion of our fan base that would say, hold up. We're not the only club in Italy struggling. We're not the only club in Europe struggling, but we're still collecting domestic cups. We're still challenging for the title to an extent. We made the Champions League final last season. I'm a part of the Inter fans that are very pessimistic in a sense that I always demand the best, but there's also a very logical part of me that knows what we're dealing with in the modern world and what we're dealing with in the modern economy. How many players have just moved to Saudi Arabia in the last three weeks, man? It's an absolute joke. They're going there for the retirement plan. I saw Marcelo Brozovic get turned by Di Maria yesterday, like the bloke was 36 years of age. And not Di Maria, Brozovic. That's what I'm talking about. So it's... To put a long story short, the Onana deal is just the next crumble to fall. And as much as I didn't want to see him go because he's a very unique goalkeeper, mentality-wise, ball-playing-wise, obviously, we got this guy for free. We've just been given 57.5 million euros of what we call in Italy plus Valenza, which is green book money. It means that all 52.5 plus achievable bonuses are going to be used as positive green money on our books. That's huge. No Italian club would knock that back. Even Napoli, who don't need the money, would knock that back for a goalkeeper at 27 years old after one season. Onana is unique. But you know what's even more unique than Onana? Getting 57.5 million for a 27-year-old goalkeeper after one season. It's non-negotiable, my bro. We had to do it. And I've tried to tell the fans this. I go, this is a proper hands-tied situation. This is 115 million for Lukaku. This is 80 million for Hakimi. You don't ignore it. It sucks. Yeah. And in an ideal world, you are a staunch club that stands up and goes, nah, you want Onana, pay 80. You want Hakimi, pay 120. But at the end of the day, this is what we're working with, bro. COVID, lockdown. it hit the world like a ton of bricks, like a train with no momentum slowing down. And that's where we are right now. So thank you for the question. But long story short, Onana had to go. And there was only a very, very small pool of clubs that were able to come in and do this. Manchester United always sits at the top of the food chain when it comes to this stuff.
Yeah, most definitely. I agree with that. Most definitely. I think he is a special keeper. Most definitely. And to be honest, someone that I would like to replace Neuer when he's done, if I'm being 100% honest. But on obviously you selling him, you've obviously got that money for him. Now you're trying to get Jan Sommer. What do you think of Jan Sommer?
Yeah, sorry, I sort of ignored that part of the question.
No, it's fine.
With the Sommer situation, like I'd love to have him because that sort of experience at a top level club like yours, that's exactly the sort of signing that we should be going for as a band-aid solution. Not all band-aid solutions are going to crack in the first couple of months. He's a good one. And I was actually really happy that you invited me on because I was hoping that you could give me more of an accurate insight as to what's going on with your club in terms of releasing him. Because I know that you guys are up in the air about Neuer's fitness. In my opinion, a club like Bayern Munich should be looking to discard both of these goalkeepers and start to build for the future and start to look at the next gen and start to look at rebuilding that foundation as a club like Bayern Munich needs to do. Yeah. So the fact that you guys are hanging on to Sommer for reserve reasons leads me to believe that, you know, Inter need to work a little bit harder here. He might be, what is he, 35 or 36, Sommer? 35? He's 35 or 36. One of those two. Not really relevant for a goalkeeper's age if you're a shot stopper like Sommer is. We need someone like Trubin to come in. We need a young ball-playing goalkeeper to replace Onana to keep our tactical dimension and to keep our style of play. But in terms of replacing Samir Handanovic and making sure that we've got someone there to go, the 6 million release clause is a no-brainer. This is where you really see the shit, excuse my language, side of Inter. We will haggle for a packet of chips, bro. We will haggle for it. 6 million release clause for a Bayern Munich goalkeeper. How the F is he not on our doorstep already? Either we aren't coming that extra 20% for you guys, or you guys are extending your range for him because you don't want to let him go. I know the media is sort of pushing that whole Bayern Munich don't want to let Sommer go because of Neuer, blah, blah, blah. I'm an Inter fan. I'm an honest Inter fan. I know exactly what my directors are doing. They are lowballing you to the tight-ass degree. They are going to you with 4 million. Then they're going to you with 4.2, 4.4, 4.6. We're not meeting the release clause yet because we are poor, bro. We are a poor club. No, when have you ever seen a club make the Champions League final, sell as many assets as we have in the last 2.5 years, and still bank 90% of that money because of debt? It's not a good situation whatsoever. The fact that you've got a player like Sommer available for 6 million release clause and we haven't handheld that on a train in cash is ridiculous, bro. That's my honest opinion.
Yeah. And
so what's your side of things? What's the Bayern side of things in terms of goalkeepers?
Well, obviously we've got Manuel Neuer, the absolute icon, but he is a donut at times. Like going on a skiing trip in half a season is just stupid. But obviously Jan Sommer come in. He did okay. A lot of the Bayern fans were like, and obviously I don't want to speak for every Bayern fan, but a lot of Bayern fans that I've spoken to and come in my community have basically said like he's too short, he's this, he's that. But I have to argue against that every time because it's like, yes, he is too short, but we knew that when we were buying him. You can't, you know, we bought in Leon Goretzka as a skinny young man. He then gets jacked. You can't make someone grow. Like, unless you're going to put stilts on him. I just don't see that happening. But yeah, no, he is a good goalkeeper without a doubt. And he stepped up when we needed him to. And yeah, I think you guys, no matter if you pay 4 million, 6 million, whatever, will get a great keeper. The only thing for me is Uri Hoeneß has come out saying that we aren't going to spend a ridiculous amount on a goalkeeper. So if our start of the season and we don't have Neuer, I would actually rather keep Jan Sommer because we can't go, you know, because we've got a final in the Super Cup against RB Leipzig. They're going to be up for that, obviously losing some of their best players. So yeah, for me, he's a great goalkeeper. If you were to get him tomorrow, let's say, he'd be a good goalkeeper for you. Yeah. But for me, I would like to keep him right now, to be honest, because I think, you know, especially with Neuer, it's a sticky situation because, you know, he wants to play till he's 40. He can play till he's 40 if he stays at the same level, because if not, he's just going to deplete.
Well, you can't play until 40 if you're going to take ski trips midway through the year, man. Make a decision, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But like this situation, bro, like this is where modern football is, man. Like we're going to haggle based on leverage. And the goalkeeper position is probably the most isolated position when it comes to leverage. And the first example that comes to my head is Alisson Becker. You remember when Liverpool signed him for about 65 M's, 70 M's, yeah? There is no way they would have paid Roma anywhere near that. They would have paid 40 had Karius not dropped the ball in the Champions League final. This is exactly where we're at in modern football. Leverage is a big factor. Karius does that on the biggest stage of the world in front of 25 million viewers. Of course, Roma's going to go 40 for Alisson. That just became 50. And then he made the second error and it became 65. Right now, we're at the point where if Neuer isn't going to, like, obviously we're not working with the same numbers, but if Bayern aren't 100% confident in Neuer, they will come to the bargaining table to Inter and go, pay the release clause or leave. It's as simple as that. It's not a big release clause. It's 1-digit millions. If we are serious about this, we will come to your office with 6 million in cash, maybe even an extra 100 grand on top as a cherry and go, can we please remove your player and bring him to us? It's as simple as that. And the fact that you guys are coming back to the bargaining table with leverage, it's just another example of the financial weakness of my club. So enjoy it, bro, because you will probably lose Sommer to us, but you're probably going to bully us for the next 3.5 weeks. And he's probably going to come to us a week and a half before season starts. I know for a fact Simone Inzaghi wanted his starting goalkeeper before we toured Japan. It's probably not going to happen. And just for the record, for anybody watching this right now who doesn't know the ins and outs of Inter and our managers and managers in football in general, Simone Inzaghi is a great gentleman, but he's a yes man, because I've seen managers walk for way less than this. I've seen managers walk in preseason weeks before this point in time. Inzaghi's got a couple of his guys, but to send him on preseason after letting Handanovic and Onana go, dude, if Antonio Conte was at our club, man, we'd be getting the chev from that guy for sure, like we did already. Inzaghi's a really, really good coach, man. The world can see that tactically, for his age and his progression, Simone Inzaghi's a very good manager. But that's what comes with being a nice guy, man. You just say, yes, I'm happy to be here. I think it's a privilege to be at Inter after Lazio. And that's why our manager sort of gets bullied to an extent. And that's why he cops a lot of the flack.
No, I get you 100%. And it's just, it's a sticky situation because obviously you said that you would like to have, or your manager, shall I say, would like to have the goalkeeper in before preseason, and I think that's the same with Thomas Tuchel. Obviously, it's different because obviously Jan Sommer's 6 million, where Harry Kane is like 100 million or whatever. But I think we would like to get Harry Kane in ASAP, but it's just not gonna happen. What from an outsider's perspective, what do you think on Harry Kane and Bayern Munich trying to get him and so on?
I love the Premier League, man. I live in Australia, in case people watching haven't noticed. So, it's the only league that we sort of know and have access to. I was lucky to sort of be born in the 90s and grow up in a time where Serie A and Italian league was very, very big. And Australia is a country with a lot of Italians. We've got so many Italians here. So we peaked in that era. But as soon as high school started and technology developed, man, the EPL is the all-governing power of the footballing world. So, at the risk of sounding really stupid to most people right now who are watching this, I've actually also been a Manchester United fan since I was 5 years old. I can't shake it. Like, I got a jersey when I was 5 years old, and I've supported them since. So I know too well what the EPL is, being in a developed country here that has so much access to the EPL. So long story short, I've watched a lot of Harry Kane, and I think he's one of the best strikers I've ever seen play in my life. I think he's one of the best players to ever grace the Premier League from a striker's standpoint. I think he's flawless at his position. In fact, you know what? I would fail to hear an argument to hear any attacker in world football that could come to the Premier League and do a job as efficiently as Harry Kane. He's been playing for Tottenham, for God's sake. That club reeks of disgust and mediocrity. You can have the best Tottenham team on paper with the best manager in the world, Ari, Jose Mourinho and Antonio Conte. You're going nowhere, brother, nowhere. But a little bit of pride. We've got Ange Postecoglou managing Tottenham at the moment. So a lot of Aussies are sort of in Tottenham's corner for the first time of all time. But for me personally, if I was Harry Kane, I'd be looking behind my shoulder going, I don't owe this club anything. I don't owe this league anything. I've been a gentleman. I've gone beyond my contract clauses. I've re-signed more than the amount of times I need to. There is no better club in the world for Harry Kane to sign for than Bayern Munich. If I was Harry Kane, I would have tunnel vision for Bayern Munich and Manchester United. Why? Because they both fit his resume perfectly. You go to Bayern, one thing's going to happen. You're going to piss the league. You're going to win your major trophies, and you're going to score 30 plus goals in the meantime. You go to Manchester United, you're going to get the respect and the clout that you know you've deserved but couldn't get at Tottenham. You're probably going to get your way into a trophy because Ten Hag's probably going to build a little bit more, and that United squad is starting to look a lot better than it was in the last few years. If I was Harry Kane, I'd have Bayern on speed dial and United as the reverse phone call. He's going to get his move, bro. I would respect him a lot more, even more than I did now if he stayed. But a large part of it would be like, bro, why? What are you doing? You cannot like this situation as much as you are. You don't owe anything to these fans. Just leave. You're way too good to spend another season at Tottenham. If he goes to you guys next season, he's going to be phenomenal. He's a phenomenal player, man. I have no doubt whatsoever. So my outsider opinion on Harry Kane, if I was Bayern Munich, I'd make him my main target. If I was Harry Kane, I'd be telling my agent and everyone involved, have you booked my flight to Munich yet? Have you booked my flight to Munich yet? Why not? Why are you taking so long? Pre-season with Tottenham, why are you even talking to me about this? Blah, blah, blah. So I would like Harry Kane to pick up his balls a little bit and be a selfish athlete. We live in a selfish athlete's world, bro. We'll get to Lukaku in the end, don't worry. But like Harry Kane, man, like, now's the time. Pick up your balls and make the selfish decision. Go to Bayern Munich. Or go to Man United, man. I'll take you because I know we'll challenge City for the league if we've got Harry Kane. But if I was Harry Kane, pick up your stuff, get ready, go to Bayern Munich, man, and start to kill it.
Yeah, because I do think it is either one of the two of those clubs. I think he goes for a fee now to Bayern, or he goes for free to Manchester United.
Well thought out, man. Well thought out. Yep.
Yeah. So it's like, and I just find it a little bit funny because like it's not funny in the situation because it's just getting boring now with all the news and all of that, and obviously we know some of the news is being made up and all of that, but like just more in the fact of like either way, Daniel Levy's trying to be this. I'm a massive guy. You can't do what, and then Harry Kane's there like I'm not signing a new deal. So you either sell me now or I'm going to a Prem club. For free. So, hopefully soon that situation will be wrapped up because it is getting a bit boring. On strikers, though, someone that plays in the league, obviously that your club is in, is Dusan Vlahovic. And this is another player who, to be personally, I would love him. I think he's brilliant from what I have seen. But obviously, you watch that league way more than me. So. Let's just say Harry Kane stays at Tottenham, he signs a new deal, whatever. And then Dusan is our main guy. Do you think he could fit at Bayern or not?
Dusan Vlahovic is a fantastic player. You know, you don't put in those sort of performances for Fiorentina unless you are very, very special. Go figure, anybody watching right now, I don't like Juventus. I hate Juventus. If you put the world's worst criminals in a room next to Juventus, I'd probably choose to hang out with the criminals. I'm not talking about Juventus. I'm talking about real criminals. Juventus are also real criminals. I can't stand them more than anything in the world. So to watch players suffer at Juve is very enjoyable to me. I think Juve have a horrible modern-day manager in Allegri. I think what you've seen from Dusan Vlahovic in the last year and a half does not resemble what he is as a player. All you need to do is look at his face and look at his attitude at the moment, and he knows he's not fitting in there. Go figure. So isn't Federico Chiesa. So didn't Angel Di Maria. So doesn't Locatelli. That Juventus club at the moment is an absolute shambles from top to bottom, on and off the pitch. And I'll enjoy it every second of the day because as Inter fans, Struggle and suffering is born into our DNA. We literally have a quote from 40 years ago, 50 years ago that says, this is not an easy love we've chosen. And that is why we have done it. We want to struggle for eternity. That's who we are. To see Juve swimming in the same ocean as us, having to sell their best players, it's poetic as shit. I hope that they lose Vlahovic because he's going to score a lot of goals wherever he goes next. He's a fantastic striker. He's actually a really, really special player. In between him and Harry Kane, you can't lose if you get one of them, bro. You cannot lose. There are so many pros and cons for both. The pros of Harry Kane, he'll score straight away. He's ready to go. Vlahovic might take a little bit more time of integration, but Vlahovic has got the youth. He's got the pace. He's got the technical ability. Dusan Vlahovic is fantastic. He's probably going to run you or Paris 70 or 75 M's if you're going to buy him. Whereas you could probably get Harry Kane, for 50, 55, 60 at the moment? Because last year of his contract, yeah?
Yeah.
I know he's a phenomenon, and I know Levy is a little bit weird in this situation, but Levy can't rock up to the table with 70, 75, 80 million euro valuations. If there's 1 year left on his contract, you got to slap 40, 50 on him. And even then, that's stupid. Who does that? We're in modern football and the rules are different, aren't they, bro? It's really weird. It's really weird. But Vlahovic is fantastic, man. I loved watching him struggle at Juve because I knew that they weren't using him properly. I know that he's a player that can score 20, 25, 30 goals a season. You know, my first taste of Dusan Vlahovic was when Fiorentina played Inter under Antonio Conte in Conte's first season. Inter was winning either 1-0 or 2-1 for a good 40 minutes. The ball came out to Vlahovic on the left-hand side. He was 35 yards out from goal. He dribbled straight at Milan Skriniar, turned him like a carousel, and rocketed it into the top corner. And I just remember punching the wall because like all Inter goals we concede, it happened in the 91st, 92nd minute. And I just thought to myself, this guy's special. And that was 4.5 years ago, bro. 4.5 years ago. Dusan Vlahovic is a special player. So I hope he leaves Juve because I'd hate for Juve to rediscover what they've got in him and want to keep him.
Yeah. Yeah, most definitely. Most definitely. It's a sticky situation because like you get Kane, who is 30 but brilliant and established now, or you get a young player that might take a little time but could be better than Kane in the future.
So I'm sorry to interrupt because you've done most of the asking, but who would you prefer, brother? And what's the general consensus around the Bayern forums and the fans? Would they prefer to lean more into Vlahovic or to go to Kane? Because there's different ways of approaching this situation. You know, Juve want to sell Vlahovic. They really, really do. Trust me, they do. I know the sources from Italy are saying they're pushing hard to get rid of this guy. So if Bayern are aggressive, they could probably get Vlahovic quicker than if they wanted to get Tottenham because we know Levy's got that emotional attachment, that nostalgic attachment. He's hanging on to it like a bad girlfriend, man. Whereas Vlahovic has got 1 foot out the door. So what do you want? What do the Bayern fans want?
So I'll go Bayern fans first. So I think most of the Bayern fans are like Kane. We want Kane, blah, blah, blah. For me, I want Vlahovic just because of longevity. I know that Harry Kane will come in now and score a ridiculous amount of goals. Just for me, I just think 3 seasons we might get out of him.
Yeah.
You know, where Dusan, you can get easy 7 seasons out of him, if not more. So it's a sticky situation.
I get what you're saying. I get exactly what you're saying. And, you know, if I'm allowed to say this, you're not exactly a club that has to work overtime to win your league. I followed the Bundesliga last season. I had a few of my boys over on the final day. I mean, we're not Bayern fans. So as non-Bayern fans, we do cheer for teams that are not Bayern. You would know this. If you're not a Bayern fan around the world, you do look at Dortmund as a team that you sort of like to an extent. The same way, if you are around the world and you don't like Juventus, you are probably going to half want Milan or Inter or another team to win. It's simple as that. You don't cheer for the top dog. That last day of the season was an absolute disgrace, but I was the only one in the room that was not surprised at it. I've got my mates around me that don't invest in football as much as me, and they're like, this is a disgrace, man. How did Bayern win? How did Dortmund throw that? I'm just sitting there. I'm like, bros, this has been done before. This has been done in multiple leagues before. There's a different level of mentality that it comes to closing the gate. You can close the gate 90% of the way, but only one boss has the fucking lock. Sorry for my language, man.
No,
and that was the perfect example of your league last season. So I think that you actually make a very, very clever point. Do you actually need Harry Kane for the next 3 years? Can you not sustain a first spot, or at the very worst, let's just say you forsaken one league title over the next 2 to 3 years, but you get Vlahovic. This is the sort of signing that can reset your Champions League agenda. This is the sort of signing that can propel you in Europe and start to reset that part of your attack. Because I know you guys are also going through a little bit of a transitional period in terms of players coming in and players coming out. Your defense next season is going to be colossal, is going to be Chinese brick wall, bro. Honestly, I can't wait to see Kim and De Ligt. Are you mad? Are you actually mad, bro? I can't wait to see teams try and get past your defense next season. It's going to be one of the toughest jobs in European football. You get Vlahovic, man. I really think the dominoes are in place for Bayern Munich.
Yeah. And I'm actually very glad you've come on, because, you know, I'm always getting shut down on this. Like, no, it's Kane, but we need to get Kane. And I'm like, no, you don't understand how special this lad is. And I don't even watch it as much as, you know, Italians and fans of Juve and so on. So yeah, no, most definitely. Yeah.
Like, just to finish that off, like, I know as Bayern fans, and rightfully so, you should be waking up every day saying, we need to win every game, we need to win every trophy, blah, blah, blah. But if you actually take a step back and see the bigger picture, you are not a club that has to win every season. You are not a club that needs to win the Bundesliga in 23-24. You probably still will, even though you don't need to, just like last year. And just like 1 or 2 of your league titles in the last 9 years. You don't have to be the best version of yourself to either win the league or at the very least take it to match day 35, 36, because you guys have 18 teams, right? You play 36 games across the season?
Yeah, I believe so.
Or 34. You can take it to the last couple of games of the season. And even if you lose the title, it would be heartbreaking. But from a logical point of view, you took it to the last day of the season. You're not 9 points behind. You're not 12 points off the curve. You didn't tank the season and flop it by 5 games like a team like Inter can and will. We did it last season to Napoli. We tanked the league after beating them in January. Dropped points to Monza, Fiorentina, Bologna, Empoli. That's shit. That's absolutely horrible. You guys won't do that. And even if you do slip, you'll make up some points. So in terms of getting Harry Kane for 50 million when there's 1 year left on his contract versus Dusan Vlahovic for 75, in my opinion, the decision should be made today. You go for Vlahovic. You can't lose in this deal, but you go for Vlahovic. You are one of the very, very few clubs left in the world in 2023 that don't need to win straight away to keep the level going. And you need to coast on that. You need to have that Real Madrid mentality. They know who they are. They know that they could have tanked last season, which they did. That season is not good enough for Real Madrid. But look at the way they'll handle themselves from here. They're going through a rebuild period, and they've somehow managed to shuffle Cruz and Modric out for Camavinga and Tchouameni, and barely anybody has batted an eyelid at it. This is what Bayern Munich are. I will always see Bayern Munich as that millimeter below Real Madrid at the top of the food chain. So you guys need to keep acting like it. You are the kings of your league. You are going to keep stepping on it for generations. You don't need to sacrifice 1 or 2 more years of Bundesliga trophies for something exceptionally special that might put you back up to that Man City, Real Madrid level.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree with you. On the rest of our players, though, Sadio Mané is being linked with everyone and their dog, to be perfectly honest with you. I don't know if there was an interlink. You'll know that. Have you been linked with Sadio Mané or not? I'm not too sure.
Headline-wise, I think I've seen it once or twice, but I've been in this game a long time, bro. I don't bite unless I hear words from my directors or my club. If I see the headline with a player in it, I just go, bullshit. What's the go? Like, what didn't work out for Mane? I know that he's got an attitude. I know that he's very staunchy. Like, you know, even at Liverpool, he was the front three guy that was, you know, sort of causing a little bit of emotional disruption. And obviously he's gone to Bayern Munich and we've seen the exact same behavior. So this doesn't seem like a club issue. This does seem like a Sadio Mane issue. His talent is what accommodates for his lack of, I guess, You know what I mean? But what's the consensus with yourself and with the Bayern fans, man? Because ideally, you don't want Mane leaving after one season. You wanted to, because it was only one season, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So one season, and he didn't have a horrible season on the pitch, though, did he?
No, not when you like actually look at the stats. No, but it's just more the fact of like the expectation of a Ballon d'Or nominee type player coming to us for such a cheap price. The problem with it is though, like I'm one of the main people that want him out. Don't get it twisted. I'm saying it on my channel all the time, but you can't blame him 100% because you have one of the best strikers in the world in Robert Lewandowski. He goes to Barcelona, and then you bring in a winger to play striker. Like you can't blame a player. It would be the same as bringing in, a right winger to play striker. It's just not going to work. So you can't blame him for that sense. But more and again, it's not his fault, but more in the fact of he is the highest earner at the club.
Is he? I didn't know that.
Yeah. So like those wages need to be cut off.
And how much does a top earner at Bayern Munich earn at the moment, man?
I think it's 22 million a year, which is
30 minutes,
money.
58. I'm going to clip this part of our video and post it on my Twitter or channel just so my fans can see the relative strength of what we're dealing with here. Did you hear that, guys? 20 to 22 million. That's, oh, man. Our top earners are on 7.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, not many people know our top earners are on 7. Romelu Lukaku was on 9.5. He was top earner. But when you look at our chain of top earners, it was Brozovic on 6.5, Lautaro on 6.5, Barella 6.5. Now it's Lautaro 6.5, Barella 6.5. When Bastoni signs his new deal, I have no doubt it will be 6.5. These are our top earners, man.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a big difference, isn't it, economy-wise?
Yeah.
We talk about it on our channel and on the cultural world all the time, but I actually don't know. I think the rest of the world's picking it up, other fans, but I think now people are realizing just how behind Italy and the Serie A is. And I think it's just it's a reflection of the way Italy functions as a whole at the moment, man. We don't have the money. We don't have the resources. But the worst part about this, bro, we're doing absolutely nothing in the background to improve our situation. It's the same old dinosaurs running the show behind the scenes. And this is why we're losing all of our players. All of them. They're all going. Aren't you all watching what's going on in the market at the moment? We are losing everyone. Sandro Tonali is depressed as hell. He wants nothing to do with Newcastle. He's there. He's got no choice. There is no option. Ashraf Hakimi did not want to go to Paris. He wants to come back. I know he does. He can't. There is no option. Juventus fans have been bantering me for the last 2.5 years. Oh, Juve don't need to sell their best players. That's the difference between Inter and Juve. Bro, you lost Ronaldo, Dybala, de Ligt, Romero, Demiral, all in the last 2 years. And now you need to sell Chiesa and Vlahovic. You couldn't re-sign Di Maria. This is a universal Italian problem. This is not an Inter-isolated issue. Milinkovic-Savic, Immobile will not renew for Napoli. Sorry, for Lazio. Kim has left Napoli. The only reason Crava and Osimhen haven't left yet is because De Laurentiis is the Napoli president, for anybody watching. He has such a big set of balls and cojones. He's just won his first title in 30 years. He's taken a step back and gone, I'll wait 1 extra year. Unless someone comes at me with 150 M's for Osimhen, he's not going anywhere. I'll wait the extra year. Okay? AC Milan, Tonali, gone. I know that they're using the money at the moment to restructure their squad. Leao, watch. I will be a very, very surprised human being if Rafael Leao is playing for AC Milan next season. That is being done in the background as we speak because the owners of AC Milan, who are American, as much as they like their club as a business, do not love their club as Milan. You don't let a director like Paolo Maldini, who just renewed Rafael Leao, who was going to leave on a free, go unless you have very different plans for the club, such as selling Sandro Tonali, such as selling Rafael Leao. Theo Hernandez and Mike Maignan might be next. Should I move on to my own club? We have let Skriniar go for free. We have let Brozovic go for 18 million. Bro, Brozovic is one of the best deep-lying playing midfielders on planet Earth. His value should still be 30 to 35. We got rinsed for this guy because we have no leverage. We have no bargaining power. Italy as a whole has no bargaining power. So we had to cop 18 million for Brozovic. Yeah, it was good for us in the end because, and I said this 4 months ago on my channel, 6 months, he's done. Mentally for Inter, he clocked out in November before the World Cup. As much as I didn't want to say it, I was the pessimistic voice of reason, and I copped a lot of flack for it, man. I had people commenting on my channel going, bro, how can you even voice this? You're reading way too much into it. Now you're just getting emotional. I'm like, no. I just look at things a little bit differently. When Ivan Perisic was upset that he didn't get renewed at Inter, who else is going to be upset? Obviously, his best mate. Obviously, his compatriot. And then Milan Skriniar, we don't renew him. His market value was 65 million and we let him walk for free. Are you guys really that surprised that Marcelo Brozovic at 30 decided to chase the bag in Saudi Arabia? I wasn't surprised whatsoever. The only thing least surprising than Brozovic leaving was Cuadrado coming in to me, because that's a Beppe Marotta, our director, signing right to the decree. That's what he does. Inter's lost another big player, another 2 big players this season. What's going to happen next season? What happens if Barella has another amazing season and someone comes up to us with 80 million? What happens if Lautaro scores 23 goals next season and someone comes up to us for 80 million? Are we going to say no? Hell no. They'll be the next ones to leave. This is a real big problem in Italy at the moment, man. And the rest of the world is feasting. It's an open market with discount prices. Even though the prices might seem big, you shouldn't be able to go to Milan and get Tonali like that. You shouldn't be able to take Inter's assets like that. You shouldn't have Juve's brand new sporting director, Giuntoli, come out 2 days ago and say, everyone at Juve is for sale. They all have their price. This is not the way big clubs in a big league behave. Italy is weak. Italy is as weak as it has ever been since I came into this planet. So it's a feasting spree at the moment for anybody that wants the best in Serie A.
It generally is how the mighty have fallen, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, big time. Bro, the fact that we even made that Champions League final is nothing short of a minor miracle, to be honest. And people can argue like, oh, you sort of got a favorable draw. There's no such thing as a favorable draw in the Champions League. If your version of a favorable draw was Bayern Munich and Barcelona in the group stage, last year's Portuguese champions, this year's Portuguese champions, last year's Italian champions, triple Premier League champions, you live in a different world to me, bro. You can think that that's an easy run. I can't talk to you. Sorry.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. What is your I can go and gather from what you just said, but the fact that your club let Skriniar go for free, like
disgusting,
mind blown.
Bad.
Mind blown.
It's bad, man. It's bad because it got to a point with our club where players were very disgruntled at the way it was going, because a lot of our players put in a lot of effort put in a lot of effort to win that Scudetto, to win that title under Antonio Conte. Then what happened is a week later, the club fell apart behind the scenes. So as the players, you've gone from thinking we're at the start of a dynasty, because it's been 3 years. Blink our eyes, it's already been 3 years. 3 years ago, Barella was 23, Bastoni was 21, Lautaro was 24, Lukaku was 25, Skriniar was 24, De Vrij was only 28. We had a team ready to pump Juve right out of Italy, to pump everybody else for 3 years. We had it ready to go. Financially, the restrictions completely effed us. Conte walks. Because he walks, the assistant coach, Lele Oriali, walks, who has about 40 years of Inter DNA in him. He was also Mourinho's assistant coach in the Champions League. People don't know this. He was also one of Roberto Mancini's assistant coaches that won the Euro. When you lose a manager in top-level football, you don't lose one human being. You lose a regime. You lose a squad. You lose a whole gang of competent professionals that got you there. The other big bloke that left was Antonio Pintus. Do you know who that is? Antonio Pintus is probably the best physical strength and conditioning coach in football. His resume is superior. He's been to Real Madrid when he said that he was leaving Inter, it took Carlo Ancelotti about 36 hours to get him on a plane to Madrid. He just went, yo, No way. You're available? All right, we'll book you tomorrow. He's that bloody good at what he does. There's a reason why players leveled up under Pintus at our club, never got injured. That season under Antonio Conte, we played one of the most aggressive brands of Italian football, even though it's still considered catenaccio to a degree. You hang back and wait for the errors to attack. It was perfect. It was perfect. Our team was drilled physically to a T. And that's the effect of Antonio Pintus and his backroom staff. This massive shift of mentors was huge on our players. They felt hard done by. Players like Skriniar, Bastoni, Barella, Lautaro, Lukaku, Brozovic, they've just come off how many years of trying so hard to win a major trophy? They've just won the Scudetto by 14 points, whatever it was, 12 points. And now they need to see Conte walk, Oriali walk, Pintus walk, all the backroom staff walk. On top of that, you lose Achraf Hakimi and Romelu Lukaku in the same market. You need to reset. The players in our team just got a little bit fed up with always having to wear the brunt of the hard act. I don't blame them fully. I definitely blame them for the lack of focus and concentration in Serie A over the last 2 years, which has seen us forego 2 good potential seasons. But this is the reality of my club. This is the domino effect that happens when you've got no money to spend. Players eventually will leave. And if you look at the photo, the squad photo of the team that won the Italian title 3 years ago, you will only see 2 blue ticks. And that is 3. Bastoni, Barella, Lautaro. Everybody else is gone. From the goalkeepers to the wing backs, to the center backs, to the forwards, to the midfielders. They're all gone in 3 years. So we go again next season, but we are a far cry identity-wise from the team that won the Italian league under Antonio Conte. We really are.
Yeah. It is from obviously hearing it from you. It is kind of crazy, isn't it? Because, like you said,
it goes a lot deeper than most people think.
Yeah, like if Newcastle or PSG or whatever come in and they say, Barella, we want him, we'll give you blah blah blah, and your club's just gonna be like, yeah, we'll take it. Like
it's not Barella's choice. Barella might say no. Sorry, bro, it's not your choice.
Yeah. Same with obviously Martinez. But I think we're 42 minutes in. I think it's time for you to unload on one particular man. So Lukaku. I don't really understand him. Before I do unhinge you, I don't really understand him at times. From going from Manchester United to Inter, then to Chelsea, then back to Inter. I know obviously, like you've said, money talks, especially in Italy, but like, it's just mind blowing. But yeah, without further ado, the floor is yours.
Yeah, well, it's been a great video so far. Thanks, bro. We might as well finish strong with the best topic possible. So I hate this guy. I've disliked him for a long time. And that's not just me as a fickle football fan doing content going, I told you guys, blah, blah, blah. I can dig up evidence from a year ago of me saying I don't want him back from Chelsea. It was around about October, November last year where he was injured. And he uploads this photo on Instagram of him just going like this in casual clothes at the San Siro. This is him watching us in the stands injured. And he captions it going, Shorty was looking, so I had to check her out. Something like that. Something egotistical, egomaniac-wise. I got on my channel and I very vocally started to warn fans and say, this guy is a scrub. This guy is a grub. I've studied human behavior and psychology for a while as well. It's one of the things that I've studied. It doesn't take a genius to realize when people are out for themselves. Romelu Lukaku is an egomaniac who has been out for himself from day one. You don't kiss 5 badges in your career unless you are. You don't burn bridges with every fan base except Anderlecht, who I bet right now Anderlecht fans are even saying we wouldn't take him back for free. This guy is a horrible person and he's not a good footballer. What he is he is an elite physical athlete. He is an elite athlete. That's what he is. He will coast on his physical attributes for the next 18 months, but with no pure footballing ability, his career is actually probably in the back 25% to 30%. His style of play is not sustainable past another year and a half, 2 years. For him to come out on social media on Instagram last year and behave the way that he did, I was vexed. I didn't like it. I love Edin Dzeko. The opposite of Romelu Lukaku is an Edin Dzeko, a dying breed of professional footballer who at 37 years old can give you more than a 25-year-old. So is Matteo Darmian. So is Francesco Acerbi. And those are just mine. I bet other clubs in the world and their fans can put their hand up and go, yo, we've got those guys too. We've got those guys too. Those are our guys. In no world should Edin Dzeko be starting over Romelu Lukaku unless there are serious reasons for it. And I know Lukaku was injured for a period of time, but in my opinion, he's been injured up here for a long time as well. And Romelu Lukaku, the way he behaved last season, it wasn't good enough even before he came back into form. I enjoyed when he came back into form because I needed my club to win games and qualify for the Champions League the next year. For me, as opposed to other Inter fans, it wasn't necessarily about getting to the Champions League final. I sort of knew in the back of my head we weren't going to win that final. What was more important to me, brother, was making the top four. Because as I've just told you very generously in this video, this is Inter, this is Italy. We don't have the luxury of resetting. This ain't Manchester United where you can finish 6th and go for gold the next season. It's not. It's not even like Chelsea where you can finish 9th and now this season look at your squad and go, you know what, with a little bit of luck, we might just run into 3rd or 2nd. You never know. That's what these clubs can do. It's what a club like Bayern Munich can do. You know, let's face it, you guys didn't have a great season last season. You still lifted the title. We had a horrendous Serie A season last season. We were out of the top 4 until March. Until March, bro. Lukaku comes back and does what he does best. He's a flat track bully. He scores goals against mid-table and lower teams. And that was a reason why I was still vocally happy to have him next season up until this whole debacle in the last 3 weeks. Because from a logical point of view, it makes sense continuity-wise. Romelu Lukaku is not going to score in those big Champions League games, but you know what he could have done for us next season had he not been such a putz or piece of merda. I'll let you guys translate that if you need to. We could have won enough games in Serie A with that team and Lukaku next season to win the league. It's not going to happen. He can't go to another team and do next season what he would have done to Inter. This guy requires momentum, continuity, physical stat padding, and emotional stat padding. He needs everything in the world to align around him for him to do well. This ain't a shot out of a gun sort of player. You can't sign Romelu Lukaku and go, off you go, score goals and do your thing. Doesn't work like that. Does not work like that with Romelu Lukaku. Then he starts to pick up form and we make the Champions League final. He misses that header in the Champions League final. I don't blame him for us not winning the Champions League final. I've been a football fan for 26 years. I'm not stupid. I know that one missed chance that close to the line doesn't actually constitute the be-all and end-all of the game. But now we're hearing that you were negotiating with our biggest rivals 2 weeks before the Champions League final. Now it's an issue of focus. Now it's a big problem. Now we've graduated from, should we give him another chance and re-sign him, to, I would rather drink poison and die than see this guy play for my club again. And I've been very vocal about this to all of my fan base. If my club does a U-turn and signs Romelu Lukaku for next season, I'm scouting for a new face for the Inter Worldwide channel because I'm taking some time off. Honestly, man, I've got too much pride and self-respect to watch my club do that. The way my director, Beppe Marotta, handled the Mauro Icardi situation was fantastic. We sent him packing, we took the captain's armband off him, and then we fleeced Paris for 58 million euros. We fleeced them. That's what we should be doing with Lukaku. Yes, we don't own him, but that's what we sort of did. We took that phone call and we said, nah, don't come back. But I know that this book isn't closed yet, man, because we are a stupid club when it comes to this sort of stuff. I don't think this Inter Lukaku story is closed yet, and that makes me angry. I need us to move on for him. He's going to be 30 if he's not 30 already. He's got no resale value, none whatsoever. He will continue to plummet in price. His overall public image at the moment is probably the worst in football. I mean, can anybody put their hand up and say there's a player that's being painted in a worse public image than Romelu Lukaku at the moment? Probably not. And I think that this story needs to be done, fully done. And there's a part of our fan base that says, where are you going to sign a better striker or a better forward for 30, 35 million? I'm like, how have we gotten to the point where there's no one available for that price? It's 2023. Directors still have a job to do. Scouts still have a job to do. You're honestly going to sit there and tell me as a football fan that Romelu Lukaku at 30 years old is the be-all and end-all to your footballing season? Maybe I do need a break, man, because this sport doesn't look the same to me at the moment. I don't want Romelu Lukaku anywhere near my club, and he's going to be a tumor for the next club that he signs for. In an ideal world for me, this saga drags out so long that Inter move on, Chelsea move on. Half of me wants him to sign for Juventus so that he ruins them further, but the risk of him going there and stat padding his way to a title is too much to risk. I'm not doing it. Just don't go there. Simple as that. Because if you go there and start to win the league for them, well, that's just going to be too much to handle for me. My ideal situation is this drags out so far to the end that he either has to go to Saudi Arabia or even better, he gets loaned out to Everton or something like that from Chelsea. Massive drop in quality from the club that he's at. I don't like him. I don't think I've disliked a player more than I have since Mauro Icardi, and it would be a disaster to see him back at this. Although it runs itself in a weird way at the moment, I don't care what anybody says. Inter is a beautiful club. It'll always be a beautiful club. It's looked at as a beautiful club from all the outsiders. If you don't support Milan and you don't support Juve, I struggle to come across a fan that supports anyone in Europe or the rest of the world that doesn't look at my club like a beautiful club. It's just the way we've always been portrayed. Romelu Lukaku doesn't belong here. He proclaimed himself as the king of Milano. And when he did, I remember doing a video saying, you are a temporary resident. You are not a king. You are a temporary resident here, bro. Enjoy your stay.
Yeah.
What do you think of him? What do the outsiders think of him? Like, don't put a bid in for him. That's for sure, man. You stick to Kane and Vlahovic.
Yeah, I remember watching him for United, and I know exactly where you're coming from. Like, out of nowhere, he'll just become that guy, and it's like it's a confusing one, and that's why I'm very glad again to have you come, because at the end of the day, I can sit here and say, oh yeah, Lukaku's a great player, but I don't watch him week in, week out. I don't see his antics and all of that. Obviously, I see certain things on social medias and all of that, but why would he want to go to Juve though, other than stat padding? Like, why would you want to go to Juventus? That
Bro,
just
the guy must have screws loose in his head. Like, he actually, when he did the interview, that famous one in his brown sweater where he did it for Chelsea, and the interview asks him, is there any club that you'd never go to? And he says in perfect Italian, Milan, Juve, no, never, ever, ever. And he's got this look in his face as if I'm disgusted by them. I supported Inter by a young age. I share the same sentiments towards Juventus as the Inter fans do. Well, clearly you don't, brother. Clearly you've got no idea what it's like to be an Interista, because rule number one, you don't communicate with them. It's a golden rule. There's an old saying in the Inter fans in Italy: when we shake hands with a Milan fan, we wash our hands afterwards. When you shake hands with a Juventus fan, you count your fingers. You don't talk to them. You don't even entertain the idea. As soon as you do, you're finished. When Wandanara, who is Mauro Icardi's wife / agent, go figure, there's a conflict of interest there. When she comes out and starts posting raunchy photos on Instagram in a black and white dress, that is literally when we pulled the plug. You don't even joke about it. You don't even flirt with the idea. I'm assuming you've played FIFA once or twice in your life.
Yeah.
When you play career mode and you go to sign someone from a rival and the box comes up on the screen, this side is not prepared to negotiate for a rival. Well, apparently that PlayStation has got bigger bloody brains than a bloody football club at the moment, man, because this is a joke. This is ridiculous. The fact that you can't buy a player from a rival on a computer, but in real life, they're going to go and do something like this and negotiate like this. We're living in the bizarro world, man. We are living in the flip side of football at the moment. Romelu Lukaku under Juve at Allegri could go two ways. They could play a one-dimensional brand of football that sees him score 20 goals, or he could score 4 goals all season. I'm not prepared to take the risk, man. I really not. Even though nothing would make me happier than to see him go to Juve and for them to have a season where they fall out of the top 4 and for him to get abused. Just for the record, in case anyone's watching this and isn't too well invested the same way we are, in case you don't know the cherry on top of all this, in the Coppa Italia semi-final, Romelu Lukaku scored a penalty and was monkey chanted by the Juventus fans. Monkey chanted. Disgusting. How, as a man, do you stand up and say that you will play for this side? How do you do that? How do you even entertain the idea that that is an option? Something is so inflated in your personal ego that you actually genuinely get satisfaction from making other people upset. That's the only way that I can think about it.
Yeah. No, I get it. I knew there was, not necessarily something wrong with him, but like something weird going on, especially when he was at United, and I remember him scoring against Everton, and he's like running around with his finger at his
ear. These ones I remember.
It's like, bro, you played like loads of your career there, scoring ridiculous goals and stuff. It's weird, definitely a weird one. On signings though, before we wrap it up, on signings, is there, other than Summer, is there anyone you guys are looking at?
So far, we actually haven't had a bad market because we got a little bit of business done really, really early. And that's why I think a lot of Inter fans are a little bit upset at the moment, because we've had like that down period where the adrenaline has worn off a little bit. But when you actually look at our market compared to the rest, Brozovic at 30 years old going and Fratesi at 23 coming in is fantastic. Do you know who Fratesi is?
No, not off the top of my head, no.
So he plays for Sassuolo. He's a very, very good box-to-box midfielder. He runs and charges all game, great on the ball, physically can shoot. He was one of the most sought-after midfielders in the league. In fact, he just, behind Milinkovic-Savic, is probably the number 1 midfield target in the league. Not best midfielder, but target. Yeah. Milinkovic-Savic being available, Fratesi being available. Sassuolo are great marketers, though. They will always sell their players for top dollar. Scamacca for 40 million. They've done this before. Locatelli for 40 million. Fratesi, we got a good deal, in my opinion. We've got 25 cash up front plus one of our junior players for 7.5 million. So the entire package to Sassuolo is 32.5 million, only 25 in cash. Very good deal for us, to be honest. Very good deal. Fratesi signing, he's a starter. So there you go. You've got your Brozovic replacement straight away. Even though, like for like, technical-wise, they're not the same player, we've got Hakan Çalhanoğlu that has already become the regista anyway. He's already taken Brozovic's position because Brozovic was out for so far last season. On top of that, we got Marcus Thuram for free very quickly.
Ooh, yeah.
No one batted an eyelid. AC Milan were negotiating with him for 3 weeks. We came in out of nowhere. We knew he was for free. We upped the wage by about 700K and we got him. He's getting 6 million next season, plus with the bonuses included, which is quite a large wage for someone coming in straight away. But his book value, if he had 4 years left on his contract at I'm going to say it was Mönchengladbach. We got him from
Mönchengladbach. Yeah,
that's the one. Yeah, good. If he was 4 years left on his contract, his market value would have been 35-40 million. Simple as that. He's a flair attacker in the modern day world, playing in a top tier league. And his last name is Thuram. He has the last name of a legend. That's a 40 million euro at least player that we got right there for free. So you get Thuram, you get Fratesi, you re-sign Acerbi from Lazio. That's 3 signings right off the bat. I'm trying to think who else. We've signed Jan Bisek from the Denmark League, who needs experience, obviously, but he's quite a good aggressive centre-back when he wants to be. So we've replaced Skriniar, not to a degree as a starter, but we've got a little bit of depth there. I still think we're in the market for another centre-back. Realistically, we are a Romelu Lukaku replacement and an extra midfielder and centre-back away from completing our on-field market, apart from the goalkeepers. We've still got work to do, but we've done a little bit of work at the start of the season as well. The biggest thing for our club at the moment, talking point-wise, is Juan Cuadrado, because that guy played for Juve for 8 years. He injured 2 of our players. He got into 3 punch-ups in his career, 2 with Ivan Perisic, 1 with Handanovic/Lukaku, and now he's an Inter player. It goes to show, man, it really is just a job to a lot of these people because I didn't ever think I'd see Juan Cuadrado playing for Inter. And even at 34 years old, I know what he can offer. I know what he brings to a game because I've seen him at 32, 33 years old be the biggest pain in the ass for Inter when we play Juventus. Our market as a whole hasn't gone too poorly. But like I said at the start of this video, we've been under damage control for about 3 years. Where we are lucky, we're obviously unlucky in a sense of the economic situation with Suning and the Chinese owners. We're very lucky to have very competent directors. Giuseppe Beppe Marotta, in my opinion, is the best director in Italy and has been for a long time. For those of you watching that don't know who he is, he's the technical director that brought Sampdoria back up to Serie A and took them to Europe. He's the director that took Sampdoria back into the top 5 in Italy. He then went to Juventus and was the director that got them to all their league titles. There are a lot of Juve fans that have actually been able to put their ego to the side, bite the bullet and say our modern day success was built off the back of Beppe Marotta's decisions and Antonio Conte's coaching. Everything else has just trickled as a domino effect from there. Beppe Marotta is very good at what he does. If you look at the signings he made for Juve, yes, he offers slightly bigger wages than usual, but these are the signings that keep you winning trophies. Inter was gutted with a machete after Antonio Conte left. But the damage control that Marotta has done has kept us here. You've won 2 back-to-back Coppa Italias, 2 back-to-back Super Cups, and you've made the Champions League final, all for while getting Denzel Dumfries for 12 million. Not a world-class player, not a fantastic player, but for 12 million euros to replace Hakimi, that's damage control. Good damage control. You replace Lukaku leaving with an Eden Dzeko who comes in and has something like 17 GAs the next season. Not world-class, not defining, but that is good bloody damage control for a club that's supposed to be 800 million euro in debt and sent to the gulag. Like, we should not have been damage controlling our way to a second place finish in Serie A, back-to-back Coppa Italias, back-to-back Super Cups. We were ready to get gutted and push back. So Marotta is very good at what he does. The day that Beppe Marotta leaves Inter is the day that you will proper see me get scared shitless because he's keeping the ship afloat almost all by himself and through his connections in the back room. And this is what I preach on my channel all the time and to my friends. Your club is about as strong as your technical sporting director. Once that piece of the puzzle gets removed, it's like losing your queen in a game of chess, man. It really, really is. Your technical sporting director is the glue that holds your club together.
Yeah. And on your transfers as well, I totally forgot about a player. Benjamin Pavard has been linked with both Milan clubs. Would you like him?
What are you guys paying him?
I'm not 100% sure. I can search that. I'm not 100% sure.
If he's on something like 12, 13, 14 million euros a season, then right off the bat, he needs to take a 60% pay cut to come to us. So it's so unrealistic. It's really bloody unrealistic, man. So I like him. I think he's a great player. Don't get me wrong. I also think he's got a lot of flaws in his game, though. Don't get me wrong as well. So it's not the player that I think we should be breaking our bank and jeopardizing our economic sustainability with. Put it that way.
Yeah.
What would you think?
So I think it says 35 million, but that's the fee we got for him. I was going to say there's no way he's on 35 million.
No.
I think if we're going off of what Google says, from 2020 to 2021, he was on 5 million euros.
Okay, that's not too bad. So, because how old is he? 30?
No, he's younger than that, I believe. I believe he's in his 20s. 27.
Okay, cool. So when he peaked at the World Cup, he would have been about 22, 23. Yeah, that makes sense. 5 years ago. If he's that wage, then, I wouldn't mind him. But at the same time, it's hard to come to Italy, man, and do a job as a defender when you haven't been in Italy before. It's actually quite bloody tough to adjust. Matthijs de Ligt was horrible for Juve, and it wasn't necessarily his fault. He's literally gone from being a deep line defensive midfielder, for God's sake, at Ajax, and now you're telling him he needs to play 20 yards deeper and face more balls in one game than he probably did for 6 or 7 in the Eredivisie. That's the switch up that you make. it was no surprise to me that he had copious amounts of errors inside the box for Juve, because you're actually asking him to be a completely different footballer than what he's been the last 5 years. It's no secret he's gone to Bayern and has started to recapture that form. He's a brilliant player, isn't he, bro? Isn't he something else from a defensive standpoint? How bloody good is ligt? He's so good. He's so bloody good. And now you've got Kim as well. He's so professional. I saw him introducing himself to players on the bike yesterday. Even the way he introduces himself and his gentlemanness and his charisma. Every player that comes by, he's like, hi, Kim. Hi, Kim. Hi, Kim. And in my head, I'm like, brother, they know who the fuck you are. You've got a 3-letter word name. You're one of the best defenders in the world. You are such a nice guy. They know what your name is. You brilliant, brilliant human being. So I'm excited to see him play alongside de Ligt, because you've got the best centre-back partnership in the world, bro. Hands down. I am not doubting that for 1 second.
Yeah. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy, and I just can't wait to see it in full effect, to be perfectly honest with you. But yeah, thank you for coming on, bro.
All good, bro. Like I do have to run, but I've enjoyed this so much. I do want to ask you one question, and I'll get you on my channel as well sometime before the season starts.
Yeah, most definitely.
What are the expectations, bro? Is this, you have to go for the Champions League like you do every single season? What are the fans thinking? You know, last season, it wasn't good enough for you guys, but it was still a season where you topped your Champions League group, not an easy group. You won your league title, not an easy thing to do, obviously, even if you are Bayern Munich. If that was a bad season, logic tells me you need to have expectations of pissing the league and getting to the Champions League final. Winning the Champions League is unfair. I used to coach high school kids for a long time. And when I started the season, I would always tell my students the same thing. I will never ask you to win the grand final. I will ask you to make it every single season. Every season you need to make the final. If you don't, we've failed. Whatever happens on the day, happens on the day. I don't care. Yeah. But that should be the expectation for Bayern Munich. Piss the league, make the Champions League final.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, to be fair, a lot of people that are going to be watching this are going to be like, how have you done an hour show and not mentioned Thomas Tuchel? Because I can't stand it.
Straight up, man.
I don't like him. But expectation-wise, of course, the league, 100%. I think we've been diabolical in our League Cup, is in the DFB Pokal.
That's right. You've been eliminated a couple of times early in the last few years, haven't you?
Yeah, literally since we won it and we won everything, we literally been slapped up in that. So yeah, I think we need to win that. And of course, go for the Champions League. I think if we get Harry Kane, we're more of a favourite to do that. But again, you know, like you said, on the day, you never know what's going to happen. You just never know. But yeah, I don't believe in Thomas Tuchel personally. I think he'll be gone by Christmas. I don't like him at all. And I've said that if he wins a double, the whole transfer saga going into next season, I will wear a T-shirt of Thomas Tuchel's face because I just don't believe in him. And if he wins the treble, I'm going bold. So
you really have little faith in Thomas Tuchel. I don't rate him either. But to hear you say that, like, that means you genuinely think that even though you've got a world-class squad, you think that this guy could be a factor in not getting the best out of those players. And that's a really important thing to say.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yep. Well said, bro.
But yeah, either way, thank you for coming on. Everyone, if you've watched this, hit that subscribe button on the Bayern View. Your link will be in the title, Inter Worldwide. Go and subscribe to there. Like Anthony said, I will be on there eventually. We'll link up again, most definitely. And I've enjoyed this one, so thank you for coming on, bro. And yeah, man. Anything else you want to say before I end?
Nah, this was great. Keep it up, man. We'll link up soon. And yeah, anyone who's watching this, if you're feeling it, Inter Worldwide, like I say to everyone, like I link up with Juve content creators, Milan content creators. The one thing we can all say is that we all genuinely respect and enjoy each other's company. We live in a world where you are not going to get truthful football news anywhere. You can go to the best football journalist on the planet in 2023, and they are not the same journalists that they were 3, 4, 5 years ago. They recycle headlines. So if you really want that raw, authentic news and feel for a club, go to your content creators, go to your fan channels and show them the respect, and even go to your rivals. Go to the rival fan channels and subscribe so you can at least be in the know properly, because most content creators that spend their time putting their face in front of a camera are going to tell you exactly how it is. And most of the time we're pretty negative because that's the way that's what honesty is, man. We're going to be pretty negative more often than not. So like I tell all the Juve fans that watch my link ups, man, if you want to see an Inter fan lose their shit and throw shit on Inter's name, there's no better place to come and do it. Come to Inter Worldwide. I'm negative 90% of the time.
Yeah. You're not wrong with the whole negativity because it's just real, isn't it? Yeah.
It's honesty, bro. It's authentic.
It's not scripted. Yeah, exactly. No. But yeah, either way, hopefully you guys have enjoyed. I've enjoyed this one. Make sure to smash the thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, check out Inter Worldwide. Most definitely great content over there. And maybe we'll link up again soon. But yeah, till then, hopefully you guys are all doing well. Mia san mia. Peace out. Have a great day, guys.